Alright, it looks like we've gone live. Let me go ahead and make sure that everything is set up properly, and we're gonna go ahead and start with the stream. Let's see if YouTube lets you keep the stream this time. Yeah, well, chat right now. Let me just go ahead and make sure that I can see the rest of the chat so that I can see things that are not appearing instantly. Alright, so it looks like YouTube has officially put the stream up. It should be being sent everywhere now. And there we go. I can now see the full chat, everything seems to be working perfectly. And yeah, we're gonna be starting today's stream, no problem it looks like. For the most part this stream, I expect it to be... It's mostly just gonna be general Q&A for today. I don't have a specific discussion topic that I want to go deep into. More than anything, chat is going to be deciding what the general topic is going to be for today. There are a couple things that I would like to talk about, I just don't think I have enough data to go about it. I've pretty much not played Genshin in the entirety of the last week, so when it comes to the new events, when it comes to Xiao, when it comes to the Zhongli buffs, I've only seen things, I haven't actually tested anything myself, so yeah, not much that I can do with that for this discussion topic. But yeah, there have been quite a lot of different things today that have been quite interesting. We've been getting quite a lot of different leaks that we can talk about. I know that a lot of people are excited about Xiao. One of our animations got leaked recently, and yeah, that's gonna be interesting. The animation might have convinced me to try a role for Xiao in the future, just because of the animation. But yeah, we're gonna be seeing about that one. So for today, it's mostly gonna be just Q&A, yeah. Yep, you definitely got me. Well, what can I say? It's just adorable. It's way too adorable. I can't say no to that. But yeah, I guess I'm now part of the Xiao Supremacy group. Although, I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you guys, I do not think that Xiao is gonna be anything super special, at least not with what I've seen so far. Is she gonna be good? Probably. But I do see that she's gonna need quite a lot of investment, and that might be very weird in a lot of regards with where she's gonna fit, because she kind of goes with this awkward support DPS mentality, where she does both, kind of, but also not really. She has a crit rate buff, but it only applies to the team. It doesn't apply to herself. And I'm not entirely sure how the heal is going to work, because Xiao doesn't want healing, she wants to be at low health to activate most of her passives, but her burst heals, and it's not a small amount either, it's pretty massive. I'm also curious as to whether it's a self-heal, or if it heals the entire team, similar to Barbara. If it's similar to Barbara, it might actually not be that bad, because it has a lot of power on it, and that could be very powerful for melt-centered compositions. Frankly, I don't want to talk too much about Xiao, because there's just a lot that we don't know. Let's see, you're curious about the best kit for Zhongli in DPS route, and how viable is Retractable Light compared to Archaic and Bloodstained build. Throw in Chi-Chi for the whole canonical gang. Not a bad idea. I do expect Xiao to need Zhongli shield, but on that regard, we should probably take a look at what Daniel was talking about. What's going to be best for the current iteration of Zhongli, especially when it comes to the physical DPS build. I've actually already done a lot of the math regarding this, so I can talk about it, because I don't think that anything changed when it came to the release of Zhongli. The numbers that we were given were the numbers we got, for the buffs at least. So, when it comes to physical DPS versus Geo DPS, it really depends on the way that you're doing it. If you're using Zhongli as your main physical DPS, the main character that's gonna be on the field, more often than not, physical DPS will be the way to go, mainly because of the Crescent Pike. The Crescent Pike provides such a massive damage bonus to Zhongli that not boosting physical DPS is just the wrong way to go. Even with the massive damage bonuses that you get with the Meteor, for the most part, that will be outscaled by the extra damage that you get from the Crescent Pike. The damage bonus is just too much. That is the main reason why I recommend, if you're going for a physical DPS, 100% of the time, go for Crescent Pike. As far as the artifact set is concerned, from what I was able to tell, because it applies as a multiplier rather than an addition like the Crescent Pike, the damage buff that you get for Zhongli, you actually get more from the Retracting Bow Light set than what you would get from a Bloodstained Chivalry plus whatever 2-piece set you want. All in all, the damage bonus that you get, the 40% from the Retracting Bow Light, appears to be much higher than the 25% general bonus. Even though it should apply, it applies to the Crescent Pike bonus, while the Bow Light set does not. The thing about the Bow Light set is the Bow Light set applies to the larger number. In general, that gives you a higher DPS bonus than what you would get from the Bloodstained Chivalry set. It's a small amount, but it also comes with the benefit of having the Bow Light set. So yes, for new Zhongli, I absolutely recommend the Bow Light set as the best in slot artifact set. But that is for the physical DPS variant. If you're going for the support variant, which is actually a reasonable option now, I would probably recommend the Petra set. Either that, or if you're just going for pure damage, which is also valid, I would recommend at that point that you go probably the Petra and the Noblesse set, 2 and 2. I wouldn't recommend this build, however, because when you put it into a team position, having the full Archaic Petra set, even if you only apply it once or twice, will more than likely outscale the total DPS. When you're looking at characters and when you're looking at team compositions, you always have to keep in mind not the DPS of a single character, but the DPS that comes along as a whole team. And when we start taking that into account, I generally prefer to have the Archaic Petra set. But that also does require you to, activate the Archaic Petra set, which is very annoying. The Geo Gang is coming along, yep. Let's see. Question for later. What do you think about Xiao? Now that he is out, I listened to the last podcast after the fact and wondered. Let's see. Xiao. There's a lot of things to talk about Xiao, and when it comes to Xiao in particular, I think he more or less landed exactly where I thought he was gonna land. He is very powerful, but at the same time, he's not busted powerful. He has a lot of things that he needs in order to get his investment out of the way, and his investment requirements are not as easy to obtain as someone like Gan Yu. Gan Yu, you can get her to her powerful state very, very easily. That's one of the reasons why people consider Gan Yu to be so powerful right now, because the investment is very, very low. You only realistically need her at C0, and a lot of her potential comes almost exclusively from artifact sets and from the base kit itself. Xiao has a lot of similarities to that, but Xiao requires his numbers to be a little bit higher. Don't get me wrong, Xiao is amazing. Xiao is incredibly good, especially with how easy you can get a team built around him now that the new event has arrived. So I expect him to be a very, very easy favorite, but his top end potential is not as high as someone like Gan Yu or someone like Klee, who have multiplicative damage reactions on their kit. Because of that, he does need to be higher in base power, which is why he has the burst that he has. The burst is really, really potent, and from what I can tell, the plunge attack build is very viable, although I haven't done proper testing yet. Just from looking at the animations, I think the charge attack variant might actually be better. I still have to do those tests, however. I haven't gone into Genshin, and I haven't been able to test Xiao properly, but from what I can see, it does appear like the charge attack might be better. I'll have to take a look into that. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that I can say about Xiao at the moment. He's really good. He's not bad. But when it comes to top end, it's really hard for him to compete against other options. However, he does have quite a bit of flexibility when it comes to enemies that he can fight, so that also helps him quite a lot. He's also a lot more fun to play than perfect DPS Klee. Perfect DPS Klee requires you to be pitch perfect with animation cancelling, and at least in my opinion, it's not the most enjoyable thing to play. I think they hit the perfect spot for him, not being too weak while also not being too strong. I agree. I think just from what I can see right now, he is in the spot where I expected him to be, and he is at the point where he's not an overwhelming force that's a must roll, but getting him is not a bad thing either. He works really, really well, and a lot of the things that he brings to the table are flexibility. Well, I say flexibility, he has a very specific playstyle, but he can play multiple playstyles with that. He can effectively use plunge attacks for AoE DPS, he has very powerful single attack target potential. The fact that he can swirl multiple times and he has massive energy generation makes him really easy to fit into a lot of teams. And he does have the negative sides, which require him to have a healer more often than not. And again, while swirl is powerful and it's really good for spreading elements, it can also be really, really annoying for specific elemental reactions. He can kind of skirt around it, mainly because Electric Charge is so powerful right now, and he can apply it super easily from what I've been able to see. So I'm not worried about Xiao's playstyle. He fits really well into what you want for a versatile DPS. He can do AoE, he can do single target, and he'll be very effective in both scenarios. He's like Xiao the Ribeiro, a character who adds something to the game without being overtuned like Ganyu. On regards to that, Ganyu is most certainly overtuned. There is no doubt about that one. But I don't think she's... I think she had to be that powerful in order to fit into the game. She's an archer. Archers have so many downsides to them that if Ganyu wasn't on that level of power, there really wouldn't be a reason to play her as much. If her charge attacks were not as powerful as they were right now, Ganyu would more than likely just be a cryo support at the moment. And considering that our cryo DPS options are so limited, a lot of people probably wouldn't play her. I don't actually expect her to get nerfed at any point either, nor do I think that she breaks the game that much. She most certainly has one of the highest top-end potential just because of the amount of consistent DPS that she can bring to the table, but I don't think it's the most powerful. Klee is most certainly the most powerful at the moment, but that's entirely just because of how busted you can get her animation cancels to be. And that playstyle was most certainly not what MiHoYo intended when they made Klee. Ganyu was probably expected to get to that point in an easy manner. Do I think Ganyu is healthy for the game? That's kind of a weird question. Because I think she has the potential to be unbalanced, but that potential is not there yet. Mainly because of how poor her synergy is with other characters in the game. As a single character, Ganyu is most certainly on the table of the characters that I consider the most busted, if we just look at Ganyu as a whole. But when you start adding team DPSs into the table, and when you start adding pretty much everything else other than Ganyu, you start getting results that are just not what you would expect. When you put Ganyu in a team DPS table, she performs really, really well, don't get me wrong. But she's not the most busted character. Her damage potential is certainly there though. And if we get more characters in the future, she could probably become that character that's gonna be the most busted one. I think right now the characters that I consider sitting in that place are Zhongli, Albedo, Ganyu, and Klee. Right now those are the 4 nominees that I have for the most busted character in Genshin. and each of them get to that position for different reasons. Klee because of damage, Albedo because of defense potential, New Zhongli kind of because of both, and Ganyu for burst. Let's see. Ganyu's form of balance is to split the community like he split the sea with his spears. That's one way of putting it. Zhongli's ride has been quite a bumpy ride. Miss Ganyu is very, very powerful. There is no denying that. And the only thing that holds her back right now is just the team compositions. The second that we get a character that synergizes well with Ganyu, yeah, I think that's probably when we're gonna start seeing some really crazy stuff. Ganyu is really, really powerful at the moment because her burst potential is amazing, and even when she's not on the field, because of the way that they changed her burst, the damage increases is very, very massive. The burst does significantly more damage than what we were led to believe originally, because when we saw the burst for the first time, when it was on trailers, the icicles, they were completely random. They were similar to Albedo's Isotomas, where they would just appear at random intervals and not all of them would hit enemies. They also seemed to be a bit slower, but upon release, that changed quite massively. The icicles auto-target enemies, and they drop like 3 icicles per second. Each icicle can go up to like 120%, and the ability lasts for 15 seconds, and it can also be kept indefinitely, assuming that you have enough energy generation. It's not the easiest thing in the world to get her to that point, but you can definitely accomplish it with a sacrificial bow. Not sacrificial bow, with the... oh god, what's it called? With the Favonia's warbow, as well as other different things that you can accomplish with high energy generation teammates. It's really powerful. It's really, really powerful. Alright, let's see. Albedo, he is really, really, really good as well. A lot of people are probably going to like Zhongli a bit more now, but I think Albedo is still really underrated when it comes to his potential, just because the EM buff is not a small buff, and on specific compositions like the Vaporize and Melt Center ones, Albedo can provide significantly higher DPS than what Zhongli brings to the table. But then again, the new Zhongli is more... he fits better in a lot of different places, and the fact that the new Zhongli is probably the best physical DPS in the game, I'm gonna go ahead and say that I'm willing to say that he is the best physical DPS in the game. He just has more flexibility than Albedo. I still think that the top end potential, I would probably use Albedo rather than Zhongli on a lot of compositions, but that's not going to be the case for everything. Albedo right now is just above average. It depends a lot, because he is a very investment... he requires a lot of investment. He's not going to be like Zhongli, when as soon as you just get him a little bit of HP, as soon as you just level him up, he's going to be really powerful. Albedo requires you to have very specific teammates, as well as very specific weapons in order to get the best out of him. He is very flexible and he fits everywhere, but you do need the specific compositions in order to get the best out of him. In comparison, Zhongli fits everywhere. You just put Zhongli in a team at his current state, and he will bring something to the table. Whether it be the support variant, whether it be the physical DPS variant, whether it be the shield increase bonus. That's why Zhongli at the moment outmatches Albedo. Basically, current Zhongli is Albedo 2.0. But Albedo still brings more in specific situations. Albedo is just very, very, very flexible for elemental DPSs. Permanent Crystallize is not something to take light of, and the damage bonuses from Missile Toma are pretty massive. Making every single character into Tartaglia is not something to take light of. Let's see, my man, what do you think about lithic weapons for spear and greatsword users like Xiao? The lithic weapons. I've actually been thinking about those for quite a while. And one of my original thoughts when we were getting a lot of the Xiao information was whether I wanted to use a Bolite set with a lithic weapon for Xiao. I did a bit of math on that, and it sounds really tempting. I don't think it's a bad combo. I'm just not entirely sure whether it's worth the investment, because if you want to use the lithic weapons with Xiao, you probably need a really consistent shield bringer that can give Xiao shields consistently, and the only ones that I can think of that would fit that category and would still bring Xiao something beneficial would be Albedo, Zhongli, New Zhongli, and Xin Yan. And Xin Yan can only accomplish that at C2. Albedo and Zhongli, they synergize well, but at the same time not so well with Xiao. Zhongli can grant 20% anemo reduction. Albedo just gives Albedo Sesotomas, which makes Xiao's AoEs even bigger, but at the same time it doesn't synergize with anemo. So it's kind of a rough balance. You can definitely make it work, and the math stands out as a really good way for maximizing your defensive potential. But you do lose out a lot of DPS in the process. Attack percentage, while it's good, it's not what you want on Xiao. What you want on Xiao is most certainly crit damage, and you can get it from other options, but that will require you to have very, very specific artifact sets. You can definitely make it work, and you can probably make it so that Xiao becomes insanely tanky if you go with that route. It's just going to take a lot of investment, and I'm not entirely sure if that's worth it all around. I would have to do a bit more math on that. Initial perception, it's doable and it'll work, but it might just be better to invest in other areas. Diona, yeah. Gotta not forget Diona. Diona's also really good with Xiao. I forgot about that. Let's see. Venti or Zhongli? Oh, that's a good question. Let's take a look at the benefits, shall we? If you're asking Venti versus or Zhongli, we're gonna be putting Zhongli in the DPS, not in the DPS, in the support department for this one, because he is both now. He is objectively both now. If we take a look at what Venti brings to the table, Venti brings his burst, which pretty much gets all enemies together into a single position, which means that DPS, that AoE becomes significantly stronger. He can also use the Venereer set, which is a 20%, or 40%, my bad, 40% rest reduction for a specific element. That's what Venti brings to the table. He groups up enemies, and he has 40% reduction with the Venereer set. Zhongli, on the other hand, he has a 20% mass reduction, and he can use the Archaic Petra set in order to boost elemental DPS even further. Honestly, it's gonna depend on what you're doing. If you're doing Abyss, even in Abyss, I think Zhongli might actually be better in most scenarios. Venti will definitely bring more to the table in places like Abyss where you're fighting small enemies, but the second that we start bringing in elite units, that probably favors Zhongli significantly more. The shield is now insanely powerful against a ton of enemies. The CC of the meteor is irrelevant. It's still irrelevant, but the damage isn't. And the reduction just brings so much potential to the team that it's kind of hard to pass it away. Because one of the ways of looking at it is that yes, Venereer set has 40% reduction, but that's only for a single element. If you have multiple elements in the party, you're stacking multiple reductions with Zhongli's shield. For example, let's say that I have Zhongli as my main physical DPS. That means that I'm getting a geo bonus, and I'm also getting a physical reduction to the enemy. So that's already a cumulative 40% less reduction that the enemy has towards two damage types that I'm doing against that enemy. That's only from Zhongli. If we go ahead and let's add Fischl to the table, let's say that I have a C6 Fischl and that I have Zhongli as well. Now we're also adding another 20% reduction for Electro, which Fischl is doing, so now we're boosting the damage even more. Let's go ahead and add another character into a table, let's say Albedo, why not? Because Elemental Resonance. Now we're getting the Elemental Resonance from Geo, which is another 15% damage bonuses, in addition to the extra reduction now that we have that. So now, that's another 30% damage bonus that we're basically getting, 15 of which is for the entire team. Things get out of hand really quickly with the current version of Zhongli. They get out of hand way more than what you could get out of hand with Venti. Does that mean Venti's bad? No, not at all. It just depends on what kind of characters you're using. Venti is still really, really powerful in AoE compositions. It's just Zhongli is currently so busted. It's kind of difficult to compare him with a lot of things, just because he provides so much in so many categories now. It really does depend on how you're going to use him. Venti's biggest advantage is the CC that he has. He is unparalleled when it comes to CC. I still prefer Sucrose just because I find her CC more reliable. But Venti generates a lot. His burst is... Venti generates a lot of energy. His burst is massive. And the fact that he can trigger the Venereer set so easily helps it quite a lot. Especially when it comes to elemental reactions, because he swirls with it, but he not only swirls, he infuses elements with it. So that helps a lot in certain situations. I still think Zhongli is slightly better. But at the end of the day, it's going to depend on how you use it. Both of them are going to be really powerful, it just depends on how you're going to use them. If you want my who's better in most cases, that's going to be Zhongli. He can be a DPS, and against bosses, he's significantly stronger than Venti. It's just Venti is going to be really, really good in defense situations, as well as places where you need a lot of CC. You can feel the pain that I feel when I say that Zhongli is a support now. Well, he is. He objectively is a support. I still think the DPS is better. I still think the DPS is much, much better. But he can be used as a support very, very effectively. Venti's still Venti, yeah. The thing about Venti is that just his CC is extremely strong. That's what makes Venti strong. His CC is ridiculous. But he does struggle in places where the CC is not as useful. Energy generation is also very strong, so that's something to keep in mind with Venti. And if you ever get him to the C6, which I hope you don't, in all honesty, at least not through paying money, because that's a lot of money, you do also get the extra 20% rest, which is not worth the investment. Both of the Archons right now are certainly some of the characters that will make the game very easy just from having. More than likely, the Electro Archon is probably going to have to follow in the steps. I think they've set up they've set up the Archons to be some of the most powerful characters in the game, and I don't think they can back down on that anymore. It's going to be interesting how they do balance from now on. For the most part, I think they have been keeping a good eye on balance. There are a lot of very strong parts to a lot of these characters, but most of them have weaknesses that don't make them able to do everything. I think the one that's closest to that is the current version of Zhongli, and as long as they don't bring this version of Zhongli to a higher degree, I think this is fine. If we keep the ceiling for Genshin at Zhongli, Ganyu, and Klee levels, I think the game will be fine moving forward. When we see a character that... Whenever we see a character that we can say is better than Zhongli, that's when we start to worry. Electro-Archon will be a healer with a defibrillator. Oh no. Oh god, that would be pretty funny. That would actually be pretty funny. I'm curious what they're going to do to Electro, because a lot of people can agree that Electro's not in the best places right now when it comes to DPS elements. Most all of the interactions with Electro, they're additive damage bonuses, which, while we have some really good ones like Electro Charge, when it comes to main DPSs like Kaching, this does make it hard for them to stand out as reliable DPS sources. They can do a significant amount of damage, but it's very hard for them to keep up with characters like Ganyu, Diluc, Klee. So I'm curious to see what they do to Electro to kind of alleviate that taunt. Because as it stands right now, I think Electro is a really, really powerful element, but on the support side. On the DPS side, it's probably one of the worst. What I'm interested to see is what they're going to be doing with Dendro, because I think Dendro might actually be a way to boost Electro. Which I know it sounds weird, but if we have a Dendro interaction which helps Electro in any way, that might actually be the way to go. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen for the future. Lisa's Electro's Archon's mom. That could be interesting. I doubt that's going to happen. Yeah, Kaya is currently the only character that you're realistically going to invest into from the starters ones. The new Cryo set just gives him so much bonus from the crit rate perspective. His abilities are just so good as well. The short cooldown on his Frost Gnaw, the very effective capabilities of his Frozen Waltz, and the strong basic attacks that he has. He's really good. Kaya is really, really good. I wouldn't put him anywhere below A. I would probably put him A+ if I'm being honest. Lisa is insane. If you actually start reading into Lisa, both the design and the lore is ridiculous. The thing that holds Lisa down is you just can't play her properly. She's too slow. A lot of her abilities take too long to activate, and in a game where seconds is the equivalent of Ganyu, of what Ganyu can accomplish, Lisa is just outmatched. Her cooldowns are too long, her abilities are very difficult to use. Even the tap version, it just doesn't do enough damage to justify its use. That's kind of the thing with Lisa. Her scaling is insane on both her burst and the hold version of the E, but both of them require specific scenarios, and the fact that the burst pushes enemies away instead of pulling them, it really hurts Lisa. If I wanted them to change Lisa, I think the best way that I would do it would be either make the hold version significantly faster to charge, as in probably half a second. Maybe add like some form of elemental reduction, like if you hit an enemy that has maximum stacks from Lisa's passive, you get like 2 seconds off the ability. And probably one of the bigger problems is I would switch the burst from a push to a pull, similar to the Anemo hypostasis. I think these changes will probably make Lisa significantly better. Would they ever do that? I'm not sure. They might. Will it happen anytime soon? Probably not. But it'd be interesting to see. Let's see. I think they should double down on Lisa's idea of extremely hard hitting but slow, and just say screw it and triple the damage. That could be interesting. That could actually be interesting. If Lisa had triple the damage, that might actually be worth it. That might actually be worth it. That's kind of one of the things that's the problem with Lisa as well as Amber. They're insanely slow, and yes, they can do massive damage, but the amount of time that it requires them to get to that point is so much that they just get outclassed by every other character in the game. Mainly because both of them are meant to be DPS characters, but the DPS is not there. They have burst, but they don't have DPS. That's the biggest issue with Lisa and Amber. Omega, I did some math for Xiao, and well, everything stays the same. Yeah, go ahead and put that. I'm interested to see what people have been thinking about Hu Tao. The main thing that I've seen Hu Tao for the most useful thing is I actually think her burst could be a really, really powerful target for Melt. If it's a single AoE area similar to Jean, that could actually be really, really good because it's pyro, so it can be melted. And if it's being melted, that's like 1000% scaling once you apply the ×2 multiplier. And then she has 33% on the second passive, which is again 33%, which stacks with the chalice. So you can get the scaling of that really, really high, really, really quickly. And because we have characters like Ganyu, who can actually apply cryo relatively quickly to a lot of characters, there's a lot of potential there. There's a lot of potential. The thing that I'm most curious about when it comes to Hu Tao is whether the region is single target or whether it's for the team. If it's for the team, I think Hu Tao might actually be one of the stronger healers in the game. Not because the healing is going to be powerful, but because the damage that healing entails is so much higher than other options that she wouldn't be a primary healer. She would be a secondary healer with a primary ability of being a burst user, which I think would be really good. I would actually kind of like that. Alright, let's see. Lisa's going to become Octavia. Oh, please no. Oni-chan type sister. Yeah, that's kind of how I see Hu Tao at the moment. She feels more like a little sister than anything else. Let's see. Omega Ripper, 714 base at level 13 with a 7.15 HP attack bonus. It looks like we're looking about at the base attack increase that you get for Hu Tao. And yeah, Hu Tao gets she gets some pretty massive HP bonuses from her current ability. The scaling is very much higher. It's so much to the point where going attack percentage is actually just flat out the wrong decision, mainly because her base attack is also very low. She currently has a base attack of like 100, and that's the only thing that attack percentage increases. Here's the thing that I don't know about Hu Tao, and this is one of the things that might actually change quite a few things regarding her. Is her damage bonus a base attack damage bonus? Or is it just a regular attack bonus like artifacts? I'm thinking that it's probably going to be just a regular attack bonus like artifacts. She's probably just going to get an artifact set that just whenever you cast the ability, she's going to probably get like an additional invisible artifact that says plus 7 point something% of the HP as attack. That's what I'm expecting it to be. But if it was being added as a base, that would actually change quite a lot of things. Because we have base attack percentages at that point. You could boost her attack quite massively with that change. I'm not entirely sure how good Hu Tao is going to be. It's going to depend a lot on the nuances regarding her. I think her burst is going to be very strong. That is the one thing that I can say right now about Hu Tao. The burst is going to be really powerful. I'm not sure how the charge attack variant is going to go. Because that's another thing that I want to mention. If her charge attack is really powerful, that might actually be another way of going about it, because we have a lot of ways of boosting charge attack damage, and if Hu Tao can spam her charge attack like most people are saying that she can at the moment in beta, that might be the way to go. Melting all of her charge attacks and then melting her giant burst, that might actually be very strong. We're gonna have to wait and see how Hu Tao lands. She's certainly one of the more interesting characters. It's just I don't know how effective she's gonna be. She's gonna feel quite a lot like Tartaglia in that aspect, where she's gonna have a lot of downtime, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because from what I can tell, the downtime is like 6 seconds, and 6 seconds is the exact same downtime that you would have when you do a switch rotation. So one of the things that you could do for Hu Tao is that you could compare her with characters that have really powerful bonuses, and then use that instead. Like have her with Fischl or Bido, both of which have pretty good energy generation, pretty long duration abilities, pretty good support in that category. I think Hu Tao is probably going to need a shield user to help her. If I were to choose my favorite one, I would probably go with Xin Yan. That one's a bit tricky. Diona might be better. I think Diona might be better. Hu Tao she's looking to be a very interesting character. Probably mid-tier DPS. Mid-tier DPS with a significant number of team support. Because another thing that makes Hu Tao interesting is she has a crit rate buff. And the crit rate buff happens as soon as her elemental skill finishes, so again, in the same aspect of her switch rotations, as soon as her elemental skill finishes, you switch off of her, and then every single one of your characters now has a crit rate buff. So if we combine that with characters like Fischl, or characters that have turret-like abilities, Fischl, Albedo, Xiangling, heck, even Kea with a burst, you can end up with some pretty crazy combinations. I'm interested to see how Hu Tao finishes. A lot of it is going to depend on how her attack bonus scales with everything else. She has a lot of bonuses, so I have no doubt that she's going to be good. It's just I don't know how good she's going to be. I don't think she's going to be on Xiao levels unless we get some pretty massive changes to scaling. Granted, I feel like her utility might outscale that because crit rate is just that powerful. She's probably going to end up being pretty team dependent. It's gonna depend a lot, Omega. Yeah, you're correct. It's gonna depend entirely on how the buff gets applied, because her buff is pretty significant, but she also has that cap where you can't get it past a certain amount. So we're gonna have to see what that cap ends up being at the end, and then we're gonna end up seeing how easily it is to accomplish that cap, what kind of weapons she's gonna be able to use properly. I know that her spear looks really powerful on paper as well. There's a lot of things about Hu Tao that we just don't know, so we just can't say for sure. The only thing that I can say for sure is that her burst is probably going to be good regardless of what happens, just because it being a pyro burst that can do 500% scaling off the bat, that's enough for me to call that a good character, especially when she has a passive that increases the damage. Again, these are early numbers, we don't know if that's how it's going to stay, but the simple fact that we have a mass AoE pyro burst with high scaling on a single hit, that's gonna make her really good. Especially when you pair her with characters like Diona, or Ganyu for that matter. I think Diona might be better. She will most likely be better than Xiao when live hits, but that isn't saying much, seeing as Xiao is just alright. I think she's gonna be fairly similar to Xiao in that regard. In the damage, I just don't know if she's gonna end up... The current numbers don't tell me that she's gonna end up like Xiao. She might end up being a more single target focus. Even though both her E and burst are more AoE based. She does have more multipliers than Xiao as well, so she might actually be able to outscale. There's just a lot that we don't know, so it's kind of hard to see. What's Hu Tao's current secret bonus? Is it crit damage? Her current secret bonus is crit damage. That might actually be pretty significant. I'm guessing she'll be putting out clean animation cancel levels with DPS for 9 seconds, then be kind of wordless for the remaining duration. Yeah, she's more than likely gonna end up like Tartaglia in that aspect. But the good thing about Hu Tao in comparison to Tartaglia is that it looks like her downtime is not gonna be as massive as Tartaglia's downtime. Because, from what I remember, the duration was like 9 seconds, and then the cooldown was, what was it, 15 I think it was 15 the last time that I looked at it. So that means that you have 6 seconds of downtime when it comes to Hu Tao. And an entire switch rotation of all of your characters should be 6 seconds. So realistically, as long as you pair her with characters that you want to constantly be rotating with that have turret-like abilities, you're not really gonna feel Hu Tao's downsides, mostly because you're just gonna be playing as if you were playing normally. If I were to get Hu Tao, I think what I would probably do is I would probably pair her with Fischl. If you get Fischl to C6... Oh boy, if you get Fischl to C6 and you have a Hu Tao, that's permanent overload. That's gonna be pretty massive for bosses. It might be annoying for general mob fighting though. Oh, Xiao doesn't die from his ult? Interesting. Or from his burst? That's really interesting. That's good to know. That's really good to know. Do you think Xiao C0 is weaker than Ganyu C0? I'm gonna have to say yes. Mostly because Ganyu's attacks are easier to get to the point where they're very powerful. I think both of them are really, really good. It's just the top end potential that switches quite a bit. The one thing that differentiates Ganyu and that makes Ganyu better than Xiao is that she has access to the meld reaction. And yes, the meld reaction is not perfect for Ganyu. She also has troubles applying it, but she can apply it. And that's where a lot of her DPS increase goes over Xiao. From what I can tell, both of them have similar similar DPS outputs when it comes to single things. The thing is, Ganyu can just drop her burst, and at that point, that's an extra 1,500 scaling that Xiao doesn't have. So that's why Ganyu looks so powerful, because she's very easy to invest into. When it comes to the top end, she kind of evens out, but just the fact that so many people can get her to the top end potential without having to invest that much, that's why she feels overpowered. Even though the reality of the matter is slightly different. She's okay. Not okay, she's above okay. But when you put her when it comes to the top of the top, she fits there. But she's not outscaling anybody by massive amounts. Mainly because, again, she is very focused on her DPS. It's very hard to get the team's DPS when you have Ganyu. And team DPS is a pretty massive focus. A lot of things that people are forgetting when they're looking at Ganyu in the vacuum is that yes, Ganyu's potential is absolutely ridiculous. As a single character, she's an outlier. But when you start putting teams into a table, that's when things begin to change. And that's when teams centered around Ganyu have less benefits than teams centered around other characters. Like Klee, for example. Or characters with Shinkyo. Team DPS, Ganyu falls into the, yeah, she's amazing, she's really good, but she doesn't outscale other teams. She fits in them, but she doesn't become this overwhelming force. She just fits into the top end. Xiao can also fit into that category, but he requires a lot more investment. He requires a lot more investment into teams. That's why I think both Xiao and Ganyu are in the same area when it comes to top end potential. It's just the investment is so much different. I haven't finished the Ganyu investment, the Ganyu analysis guide, but Ganyu is the first character that I have as a S++ for investment. Alright, let me go ahead and take a look at other questions. Oh, interesting. So Xiao's burst takes from current HP, not total HP. I see. That's actually pretty massive. That's a massive change. I didn't even realize that. Huh. That makes him similar to Thanatos from Smite. I don't know if anybody plays Smite from here. I haven't played that game in a long time either. Let's see. That makes it significantly easier to play Xiao. Yeah, that makes it significantly easier to play Xiao. I think he's still gonna need a healer, but with that information, you might actually be able to replace Barbara with Xingqiu, and then just have a really powerful shield user instead. Huh. That needs testing. That might actually be really, really good. Having like a C2 Baido as high as Constellation level you can Xingqiu, and then Xiao was the main DPS. That could end up working. That could actually work. I might have to look into that. Let's see, unpopular opinion here. In the current state of the game, Tartaglia is really underwhelming. He is restricted by cooldown without even out DPSing Diluc. He feels really, really underwhelming. He needs so much to be put into a potential where he feels like other characters. I use Tartaglia as my main DPS because like I got him at C1. I kind of have to use him. But I can see where you're going with it. It's not easy to get Tartaglia to feel like a massive damage bonus. I managed, but I also have a C6 Fischl, and C6 Fischl with Tartaglia is just absolutely busted. I don't expect everybody to have that. And he most certainly feels underwhelming when you get him and you can't have like the Rust teammates that work really well with him. Times where you can fail in the DPS flaws of not having the elemental skill active. He's definitely one of the more restrictive ones. He's really fun to play, at least in my opinion. I find the challenge more fun. But I can see where you're coming from. He does feel underwhelming. Then again, we might get a Delusion sometime in the future. They might just make the Delusion a secondary character though, which I personally wouldn't like, but we'll see what MiHoYo does. All of Xiao constellations are insignificant except for C6. What is Xiao C6? Or what Xiao C6 was? That's how little of an impact it left on me. I can't even remember any of the constellations on the top of my head. I can only remember like the first one, giving you lemniscatic wind cycling. Let's see, while under the effects of Banable Evil, hitting at least 2 opponents with Xiao's plunge attacks will immediately grant him 1 charge of lemniscatic wind cycling, and for the next 1 second he may use lemniscatic wind cycling while ignoring its CD. So it basically makes it so that you can have infinite wind cycling. Yeah, that's pretty strong. That is actually pretty strong. Especially because lemniscatic wind cycling doesn't have a cooldown for energy generation. So, having that effectively means that you can be in the Bane of All Evil mode permanently. Yeah, that feels kind of insane. That feels really insane. And even the C6 is pretty useless when it comes to single target. For Xiao, yeah, because you need 2 characters. Yeah, if I'm being honest, I wouldn't. If I were to go for Xiao, I think the only one that I would probably grab would be like the lemniscatic wind cycling bonus one, and even that, I'm not sure if it will be effective. It would increase the uptime, but it doesn't really matter because you're already spamming it so often, and it doesn't actually change that much. It would only affect the initial burst. Yeah, that's kind of a weird situation. Most of these constellations do feel pretty lackluster, now that I'm looking at them. Even the C1 doesn't really change that much. Audio interference is the audio. Is there something wrong with the audio? One sec, let me see if I can fix it. Is this better? Can you guys hear me alright? Audio's fine again? Okay, good to know. Let's see, what do we have here? 19k HP, Xiao loses 27% HP, so about 5k. Xingqiu swords at C1 heal about 3 to 3.5. And C1 only matters for Ascension 4 talent. Yeah, that looks about right. And that's with 19k HP for Xiao, which you don't even need that high. I think Xiao's base HP is like what? 12k? 12k, yeah. So with a flower and max level, that would go up to like 16k. So that would reduce the loss from percentage as well. Xingqiu plus Xiao plus a different shield user might actually be really good. I think right now I'm thinking Xiao, Xingqiu, C2 Baido, and then probably like an energy battery. Albedo would likely be my choice on this particular team. That actually sounds like a pretty good team. Albedo or Zhongli. Zhongli might be better. I think Zhongli might be better. That's an interesting combo. I'm definitely gonna have to look into that. Zhongli's probably gonna be better because of the Nemo Shred, you're right. Albedo's benefit really stands out the most when you have a elemental character. Like Hu Tao, for example. Hu Tao Albedo might actually be really good as well. I'll have to look into that. Hu Tao Albedo might actually work really well because the EM mastery buff would actually work really well for melt-centered teams, which Hu Tao seems to really like. And I'm pretty sure that the bonus that you get from boosting the damage of melt is higher than the bonus that you get from the resistance reduction. I'm pretty sure. I'll have to double test that, but I'm pretty sure that's how the numbers end up. So having Albedo plus Diona plus a charge attack spam Hu Tao, that might actually be the way to go. I got distracted anyway, sorry, I was just team building. Let's see. Seems like people are talking about Chi-Chi. Albedo and Beta would not even talk to each other. I see. People are shipping Albedo and Bido. That would be very funny conversations. I don't even know what they would talk about. Hu Tao E cannot break shields. Water shield breaks faster because of Blood Blossom effect, so pretty much in a similar fashion to Tartaglia versus Fire Shields. Yeah, I expect that. I expect that to be the case. There's a lot of things about Hu Tao that I wanna figure out, because she feels like she could have a lot of potential. There's already a lot of things that you can think about Hu Tao that would make her really powerful, but I think she's gonna end up in a kind of like in a Xiao situation where she's gonna be team dependent. She's gonna need investment. She's gonna be way more of a glass cannon than Xiao ever is. That's for sure. Then again, I don't think it's gonna matter that much. From what I remember, people were saying from the leaks that she had like a special. That she had a special dash, right? I'm curious to see how that ends up. Her E does not have auto-aim. I can actually see that pixel list. I can 100% picture that. Or self-heal. That's the thing that I'm curious regarding Hu Tao. Whether it's going to be a self-heal or whether it's going to be a party heal. From the translation, it looks like it's going to be a self-heal. I would much rather it be a party heal, but that might end up being too strong. I don't know. There's so much about Hu Tao that we just don't know. From my first perception, just from looking at the numbers, what I'm thinking is charge attack spam, with shield support, ideally from Albedo for the elemental mastery. That's what I'm looking at for. That's what I'm looking at for Hu Tao at the moment. Charge attack spam, melt abuse, as much EM as you can possibly get from outside sources, Sucrose, Albedo, etc. And then probably focus on burst damage. Let's see, how do you feel about Rosaria's skills? They recently got leaked, didn't they? It's been a while since I've looked at Rosaria. I think I took like a quick second look at some of the skills. I haven't actually taken that deep of a look. Let me look at what Honey has at the moment. Rosaria. Alright, so everything is in Chinese. Let me go ahead and translate that real quick. There we go. Okay, so let's take a look at these tech numbers. Scaling seems pretty high. I'm liking that already. Charge attack scaling is really, really high. I'm really liking that one. Confession, that's the elemental skill. Let's take a look at that. Rosera quickly moves expand the target enemy, piercing and slashing with a spear, causing ice elemental damage. So she teleports. She teleports behind an enemy and stabs him with a spear. Interesting. And there's two phases for this ability. One for the teleport and one for the stab, I assume. That's actually kind of bad, because that means that you can't melt it comfortably. Not that it matters that much. It also wouldn't be beneficial for freeze compositions, because, no, wait, the crit... Does the crit... The crit rate bonus for the ice set gets added after. So this might actually be better. Yeah, now that I think about it, the fact that this confession, it has two instances of damage. The first instance is very small, the second instance is higher. This means that the first instance is going to apply the cryo element, so that the second instance can take advantage of the cryo set to the full potential. So that means that you're going to end up getting 20% extra crit for the bigger damage bonus just from having this ability work like this. That's actually not that bad. Especially if Rosaria is centered to be a more physical DPS character. This is actually a really good way of applying freeze and getting damage bonuses from it. I'm liking this skill, that's actually pretty good. 7-second cooldown time, that's not bad either. That's pretty common. Scaling is pretty high. Not the highest, but it's good enough to the point where I can consider this really worth it. Alright, there's a big one. Let's take a look at the leaked burst, shall we? Sacrament of Life. Rosaria's exclusive prayer ceremony. After swinging the weapon to sweep the enemies around, the ice spears condense from the extreme cold to hit the ground, respectively causing ice damage. During its existence, the ice spear will intermittently release chills, causing nearby enemies ice damage. Alrighty, so from what I can tell, it looks like she attacks with a spear in front of her, does a small amount of damage. That's not really high scaling. It's about the same as the elemental skill, and then she appears to drop turrets. Huh. It lasts for 8 seconds. I can't see how quickly they do damage. But based on the scaling, I would imagine that they do it at probably like a 2-second damage. 2-second per. How many ice spears does she release? That's kind of an important fact. This ability sounds cool. This sounds really good. This would essentially be like summoning multiple Shangli pillars against an enemy. That would actually be really, really good against boss fights. Particularly like flower bosses or Dwalin. I'm kind of liking this ability. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of liking this. Have we gotten changes for passive talents, anything of the sort? It looks like we have. Night Walk. At night from 6 to 6. Lovely. The movement speed of your own character in the team increases by 10%. And that's it. That's her secret passive. I mean, she's supposed to be a vampire, right? So I guess this makes sense, lore-wise. Kind of a useless passive, if I'm being completely honest. It'll probably help for if we ever get another food delivery event, I guess. Yeah, this is kind of useless. This is absolutely useless, but it's really flavorful, so I'll accept it. Let's take a look into the ones that are actually important. Ascension passive. Listen to the Shadow of Confession. When with a confession attack hits somebody from behind, Roselia's critical rate is increased by 12% for 5 seconds. Okay, so she has even more crit rate. Huh, that's not bad. That's actually really good. Because as I mentioned, the first attack of Confession already applies the cryo element, which means that if you're using the cryo set, that's a 20% extra damage, extra crit rate, just from that. And then if you freeze the enemy, that would turn up to 40. Then she also has the 12% from her being her. Yeah, Rosaria is looking really good. Rosaria is looking really, really good. And then we have the last one. Darkness supported by Secret. This translation is kind of hard to read. I don't really know what it's saying, but it looks like whenever you cast the burst, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Based on 15% of its own critical strike, increase the critical strike of all characters, excluding Rosaria, for 10 seconds. I don't know how good this is. I don't even know if this applies to characters on your team, because it says in the nearby team, so is this a co-op only ability? I'm probably gonna have to wait for actual translations rather than Google translations, but what I can see is that it's another crit rate buff. Yeah, Rosaria's actually looking pretty good. It looks like she has multi-attacks as well, which would mean that the Crescent Pike might become an opportunity as well. It's 2 extra multi-attacks from what I can tell. That would be 1 less than Zhongli, 1 less proc of the Crescent Pike. That might still be worth it depending on her attack speed. She also has an attack speed buff from what I can tell. Yeah, here it is. Constellation number 1. After Rosalia casts a critical strike, her own attack speed is increased by 10%, and the damage caused by normal attacks is increased by another 10%. That's a lot of buffs. That is a lot of buffs, especially on a cryo character. Crit damage might be the way to go with Rosaria. She's looking really good. She's looking really, really good. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look back at chat to see what people are saying. People talking about Mommy Rosaria, apparently. Okay, so she donates 15% of the crit rate at a cap of 15%. I'm curious how that's going to end up working, because the way that I see it, she already has so much crit rate just from buffs alone that it might not even be worth to build her for crit rate. It might just be best to bump pure crit damage and just use the cryo set in place. It might even be worth it to run her alongside Chongyun as support, just to give her 100% cryo damage all the time, as well as the cryo resonance. That might actually be a thing. I would have to. Oh god, I'm gonna have to take another look at Rosaria once we get more information. About her. She certainly seems very interesting. I'll say that much. Okay, so Zhongli has something similar, and it buffs co-op, her team, and herself. Okay, that's good to know. So both teams. At this point, the Crescent Pike is the real 5-star character. Yeah, it's kind of busted. It's kind of busted. I don't think they're going to be able to change that, though. they're pretty much stuck with the Crescent Pike as is. If they ever touch the Crescent Pike, there's going to be so many people that are going to be annoyed, pissed, and the backlash is probably not worth the unbalance. Yeah, I'm not sure if Cryo even needs that much. Let's see, we already have the 40% from the Cryo set. We have another 15% from the Resonance, and then we're getting a lot of characters that have innate Cryo crit buffs. Ganyu, Rosaria now. Cryo is looking kind of scary, if I'm not gonna lie. It's looking a lot more powerful. The Dragon Spine Spear. That might not be a bad idea. I think Crescent Pike might still be better, though. I think Crescent Pike might still be better, just from running quick numbers. What's the cooldown on the Dragon Spine Spear? Let's see. Weapons, Spear. Dragon's Bane. That's not the one. Where is it? There it is, Dragon Spine. Every 10 seconds. 200% extra attack damage every 10 seconds. Meanwhile, we have the Crescent Pike, which does an additional 40% per attack. And then we have Rosaria's attack chain. Most attack chains take like 2 seconds at most to finish. Rosaria has additional attack speed. 7 hits. Yeah, no. It looks like Crescent Pike is just up more often. And it does more damage in general. Then again, that's on max. How high up does the Dragon Spine Spear go? The Dragon Spine Spear. That might actually change a couple things. 360 attack damage at max. It is AoE as well. Does it crit? Does anybody know if this crits? Because that might actually be pretty important. I think Crescent Pike is still better. They're comparable though, which is impressive. I did not think that we would have another spear that would even be comparable to the Crescent Pike. I've definitely been underestimating this weapon. Granted, probably Rosaria is going to be the only one that can realistically use it. And even that one, I'm not sure if it's going to be better than the Crescent Pike. It definitely looks nicer, I'll tell you that much. The proc can crit, but it is a very small AoE. Oh, it has double the physical damage bonus? That's pretty massive. That is pretty massive. I'm probably gonna have to run proper numbers in that case. Alright, we're just gonna have to do this, aren't we? Let's see. Let's go ahead and assume the following. We're always gonna be getting... Let's go ahead and compare them at their maximum efficiency. Let's go ahead and say that we have both of them at max rank, so the maximum physical damage bonus. Where's Crescent Pike? Here it is. And for ease of doing this, we're only going to compare a single attack rotation. You know what? No, there's no comparing. There is no comparing. Crescent Pike is just much better. Yeah, no, I'm looking at the numbers again. This is not. It's too much. It's just too much. Because the Dragon Spine Spear, it takes 10 seconds for cooldown. That means that in the amount of time that we get this one bonus, we're already doing 5 rotations with the Crescent Pike. And even on Rosaria, who doesn't take as good as an advantage as someone like Zhongli, that is still so much. That is still so much more. The Crescent Pike is giving us almost 1,400 extra attack percentage within a 10-second period. So even with the higher physical damage bonuses, the Crescent Pike just provides so much more. It's just not comparable. It's too much damage. There goes the nice chain. Yeah, Crescent Pike is just too powerful. Even assuming a crit every time on the ability from the Dragon Spine Spear, even with the extra damage bonus, it's just not enough. It's just not enough. Pike is just too busted. Crescent Pike is just too busted. There's no two ways around it. They do, and it's a problem that they're gonna have to fix. There's no easy solution. There is no easy solution against this one because they can't change the Crescent Pike without causing massive backlash. And the main reason for this is because the Crescent Pike is extremely free-to-play friendly. So the second they mess with it, they're gonna mess with a significant portion of their community. Even though we can all agree that this is very strong. It's ridiculously strong. If Rosaria has terrible energy regen, does it mean Dragon Spine has a chance to be better than Crescent Pike? Probably not. Because one of the things about the Crescent Pike is that we have a lot of characters that can guarantee 100% active time. Albedo is one of those. Fischl is another one that works really well. Fischl can't do it 100% of the time, but she gets close enough to the point where it shouldn't matter that much. And then we also have other characters that can just make it significantly easier to get your quick bursts of damage with the Crescent Pike. So sustainability is not an issue. We have so many characters that can help with that. It's ridiculous. The Skyward Blade is literally the sword version of the Crescent Pike after ulting. It's funny that you mentioned that, Ronan, because when I was thinking about my perfect build for Noelle, I actually had the Skyward Spine because, as you mentioned, it's the Crescent Pike just in a attack form. And since Noelle can get your attack damage to ridiculous levels, the damage gets a bit out of hand. All the ugly things in this game are so good. Yeah. We have a lot of weapons that I'm not a fan of, but we might get weapon skins eventually. I have no idea how miHoYo is going to balance the Crescent Pike. I just don't think they can. That's kind of the issue. Any change that they make is going to be received negatively by a pretty major portion of the community. And because so many people have already put so much investment into it. Oh, the one-handed version. I see. What's the difference? What does the one-handed version do? Skyward Blade. Greater increase by 4%, gains sky-piercing might. Upon using an elemental burst, increases movement speed by 10%, increases attack speed by 10%, and normal attack charge hits deal additional damage equal to 20% of attack. Yeah, that's just flat out this. That's just the Crescent Pike, isn't it? With an attack speed burst. That's really good. That is really, really good. Oh my god. How did I not know this weapon existed? Who would actually take good use of that? That's a good question. Kea? Kaching? Jean might actually be the best one, if in all honesty. I think Jean has the fastest one. The fastest attack chain. I'm kinda liking Jean with, I'm really liking Jean with the Skyward Blade. That actually feels really, really powerful. Nerf Pike, buff Xiangling and Zhongli's base damage, refund mats from Pike. That might be one way of doing it, but I don't know if it'll fit well with the community. I was thinking about that as well, like maybe that might be one of the ways that you could change it, just remove the weapon from the game, replace it with something else that feels powerful enough, and then just refund all materials. But even that's probably not going to be taken that well, because at that point, a lot of people put a lot of effort into getting the Crescent Pike to level 90. There's a lot of materials that you have to farm, that you have to spend a lot of resin for. Getting the prototypes is not the easiest thing in the world. You can't just get them. You have to be lucky enough to get them to drop. So even if you get them back, that might not end up in the right position. And then Xiangling and Zhongli are not the only two characters that can use the Crescent Pike effectively. They're the ones that use it the most effectively, but they're not the only ones. Even Xiao and Rosaria can actually take good advantage of it. Is it the most efficient? No. Can they use it? Yes. Should they use it? Probably not. It's kind of a really hard scenario. That might be the only way to go about it, though. Just admit that we make this absolutely too powerful, and then just give something to all the people that build it. Yeah, I have no idea why they changed Barbara's voice. The longer they wait, it's gonna be worse, yeah. Because we can already tell that there's a lot of characters that are reliant on the Crescent Pike. Old Zhongli was reliant on the Crescent Pike. New Zhongli doesn't care that much, but if we keep on getting characters that need the Crescent Pike to be effective, then we're gonna get to a point where we just can't get rid of it. And it is most certainly effective game design. I don't know what the best way of going about it is. I think just admitting that they screwed up with the design of the Crescent Pike and trying to mitigate damage as much as possible. Ignoring it, it has its advantages as well. It's only a single weapon, so it's not the worst thing in the world. Then again, we also have the 5-star that I didn't even know existed. So there are actually a lot of passives that work in the exact same way as the Crescent Pike. We have Fischl's C6, we have the Skyward Blade, and, well, the Crescent Pike by itself. I don't know. I don't know what the best thing to do is. I think the safest option is just to deal with it and just accept that we're stuck with the Crescent Pike. I think that's the safest option for the community and for MiHoYo. I don't think they are gonna take unnecessary risks in nerfing the Crescent Pike. It's just too much of a risk for too little of a gain. They're probably just gonna design around it from now on, which is annoying, but it might actually be their best scenario. Racer voice actors for Japanese were also changed. I didn't even know that. So they're definitely changing quite a lot of the voice acting. I wonder why. It's not the cheapest thing in the world to do that. I'm curious as to why they did it. Granted, I don't think it matters too much. Ah, I see. So the voice actors quit. Got it. Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I think we've pretty much been going for about an hour and a half. I think that's more or less where I want to go ahead and end this stream. I quite enjoyed it. I think I'm probably going to be working on the Ganyu video over the weekend. I'm going to see if I can get it out as quick as I can, and I'm probably going to be doing a bit of research when it comes to Xiao in order to get that analysis done. I was originally going to do Ning Wang right after I finish Xiao, but certain things have changed my mind, and I think Baido might need a priority increase for that one. So if everything goes alright, I think my schedule is going to be looking like Ganyu analysis, which is almost done. I'm pretty much just editing at this point. I need audio editing a little bit as well. I don't know when that's going to release, but I'm going to try to get it as quick as possible. Xiao release, I'm probably going to try to get that within the next week, hopefully. And then I'm probably going to focus on Baido. I don't know, I might I was planning on doing an ARC stream on Monday, but I just couldn't. I didn't have enough energy for it. I might do a short ARC stream later in a little bit. I'm still debating on that one. It will probably be just like an hour or so. I'm still thinking. I've been working on getting my dinos leveled up and mutated. I might have gone a bit crazy with the wyverns. Might have. I went crazy with the wyverns. There's no point in lying. But yeah. Thanks, how is the Wyvern Warcamp doing? Well, one of my friends that I sent pictures on is telling me that he's trying to convince PETA to get an army to stop me. And well, best of lucks. Are you planning to get Xiao? Not anymore. If anything, I'm probably gonna be getting rolling in the Kaching banner. Not because I want Kaching, but because there's a rumor that Ning Wang is going to be on that one. It might actually be confirmed at this point. I don't even remember if it's confirmed or not, but I'm trying to get my Ning Wang to C6. Both Ning Wang and Noel. Those are going to be my my two main focuses. And then if I'm going to roll for someone, it's probably going to be Hu Tao. Almost entirely just because of the animations. I'm never going to use her apart from memes. Like, that's 100% fact. If I'm gonna use Hu Tao, it's gonna be exclusively for YouTube memes. I'm not gonna use her properly, but I want her. PETA would probably make an article about that, not even joking. I mean, when it comes to the wyverns, I'm breeding for unnatural selection and modifying all their genetics in order to get specific colors. Also mutations in order to increase their damage potential, so yeah. PETA would probably write about that one. It sounds pretty bad. I haven't even talked about the Blackrock project, which is my kibble farm. That one's gonna be fun. But yeah, I might do an ARC stream a little bit later. If nothing else, just to finish the base and show a little bit of how the mutations has been going. I'm actually almost finished. I already have 21 health mutations. I have 20 stamina mutations. I have 8 melee mutations, and I have 4 weight mutations. I'm gonna stop as soon as I get to 10 melee. That's That's where I'm gonna stop. Local dude in breeding lizards to fight the government. Oh god. Not wrong. That's the worst part. No problem, man. I'm happy that people came to the stream. It was pretty out of the blue. I didn't have any discussion topics at the moment, so I still had a lot of fun just figuring out different things and brought a lot of ideas that I want to test out. Now that I know that Xiao's HP percentage decrease is based on current HP and not max HP, that does change quite a lot of things for team building. So that's going to be really, really interesting to test out. As far as other things that I'm gonna have to figure out at some point, I almost have the meme thing, the short answer that I do for Ganyu finished. So you can probably expect that to be done by Sunday, more than likely. I don't know when Ganyu analysis is gonna come out. I'm gonna hope Monday. I'm gonna hope Tuesday, because if I'm being honest, most of everything is done already. I need to record the audio and I need to edit. Those are the only two things that I'm missing at this point. It's just I've not had the energy to get the recording going. Need to fight the reptilians with reptiles. Yeah, when it comes to Arc, I think one of the things I've already decided kind of how we're going to be doing things. We're going to be starting mostly in Crystal Isles, and we're going to be fighting the Blood Crystal Queen. Crystal Isles is going to be our main base. After we finish Crystal Isles, we're going to go to Valgiro. We're going to be doing Valgiro there. We're going to be fighting every single one of the bosses. The Megapithecus, the Broodmother, the Dragon, and the Manticore. And then after that, I plan on going to Aberration. And once we're done with Aberration, we're going to go into Extinction. Hopefully, by the time that we're done with all that, Genesis has come out, and we can do a full run of Genesis. That's kind of what I'm hoping. But yeah, if we have an Arc stream, it's probably going to be like in an hour or so. If not, we're probably going to have it tomorrow. But with that, thank you all for coming to the stream. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing if you haven't already. Portals.